Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. Some men don't leave because they are lost, they leave because they are awake. Have you ever noticed yourself quietly slipping out of rooms, parties, or conversations, and wondered why it felt so natural? That is the Sigma male in you noticing the energy and responding before your mind even fully understands. You don't follow the crowd, you observe it. You don't crave attention, applause, or approval. And you instinctively know when a space isn't built for your kind of energy. It's not about arrogance or dislike of people. It's about protecting your peace, your focus, and your integrity. Sigma males have a unique radar for authenticity. You can feel when people perform for attention, when relationships demand proof instead of trust, and when environments reward ego over substance. You instinctively drift away from noise, superficiality, and invisible games. That quiet avoidance is not weakness, it's wisdom. It shows that you value depth over distraction, truth over pretense, and freedom over forced connection. If you've ever wondered why certain places or people make you uncomfortable without a clear reason, this video will make it click. By the end, you'll understand that your choices, your quiet exits, and your instinctive detachment are signs of strength. They are proof that you are a Sigma male, a rare kind of man who lives on his own terms and trusts his inner compass above all else. Watch to the end, because understanding these patterns will help you honor your nature, protect your energy, and embrace your rare, quiet power fully. Let's dive in deeper. Brothers. Number 1. Workplaces that confuse control with leadership. There's a silent rule the Sigma male lives by. Lead me, don't cage me. He doesn't mind structure, but he can sense the difference between real leadership and pure control. A true leader inspires, a controller suffocates. And that's where most workplaces lose him without even realizing it. When a Sigma male walks into a work environment, he brings quiet focus, self-discipline, and a natural sense of direction. He doesn't need constant reminders or a manager breathing down his neck. In fact, that kind of oversight kills his motivation faster than failure ever could. Micromanagement feels like someone trying to shrink his world to fit their comfort zone, and that never sits well with him. He performs best when trusted, not tracked. When given freedom, he produces results that surprise everyone. But once someone starts hovering, questioning every move, or demanding pointless reports, his energy shuts down. He might still be physically present, but mentally he's already planning his exit. His loyalty doesn't belong to authority. It belongs to purpose. If that purpose is buried under ego-driven management, he's gone. What people don't understand is that Sigma males don't crave leadership roles because they want power. They crave them because they can't function in environments ruled by insecurity. They see through fake bosses who use control to hide their fear of losing relevance. They see how constant monitoring is not about productivity, but about insecurity disguised as management. For a Sigma, real leadership means guidance with space. It means trust that he'll get the job done his way. He respects direction, but not dictatorship. When he feels ownership over his work, he'll pour his entire being into it. When he feels controlled, he'll quietly disconnect. So if you ever wonder why Sigma males drift away from certain workplaces, it's simple. They're not leaving the job, they're escaping the cage. Number 2. Parties without purpose. A Sigma male walking into a loud party isn't the guy who rushes to the dance floor or fights for attention. He stands still for a moment, scans the room, and within minutes he knows exactly what kind of night it's going to be. If it's one of those gatherings built on shallow laughter, surface talk, and people pretending to be happier than they are, his soul quietly starts packing its bags. It's not that he hates fun. He just sees through the kind of fun that's forced. The kind where people drink to forget, brag to impress, or laugh a little too loudly to hide how empty they feel inside. To him, that kind of energy doesn't feel like joy. It feels like noise wearing a mask. A Sigma male craves connection that feels alive. He wants to talk about real experiences, not recycled gossip. He wants to share a quiet moment with someone who listens, not compete for attention in a room where everyone's performing. That's why he often slips out unnoticed, not out of arrogance but out of self-preservation. He protects his peace the same way others protect their image. Most people can't understand that silence and solitude are not loneliness for him, they're restoration. A night alone with his thoughts, a deep conversation with one real person, or a walk under the stars gives him more joy than any crowded room ever could. The truth is, Sigma males don't need a party to feel alive. They find life in meaning, not in noise. They'd rather have one genuine laugh that reaches the heart than 100 fake smiles that fade with the music. So when you see him quietly leaving a wild party early, don't mistake it for pride or boredom. He's simply choosing depth over distraction. He's not escaping people. He's returning to himself. Number 3. Environments where people talk but never listen. There's one thing that instantly makes a Sigma male shut down. It's being surrounded by people who only talk but never listen. You know the type. The ones who wait for their turn to speak instead of actually hearing what's being said. To most people, this is normal conversation. But to a Sigma, it feels like standing in a storm of noise where everyone is shouting just to prove they exist. He notices it immediately. The fake interest. The nodding heads that aren't really paying attention. The people who twist your words just so they can tell their own stories. He feels it deep down. That quiet frustration of realizing the world has turned conversation into competition. Everyone wants to be heard, but no one wants to understand. For a Sigma male, real connection happens in silence just as much as in speech. He values those pauses where both sides actually think before replying. He enjoys a dialogue that feels like a genuine exchange, not a verbal tug of war. When he senses that people are only talking to be noticed, something in him starts to retreat. He stops explaining himself, stops engaging, and mentally drifts into observation mode. It's not that he's antisocial, he just refuses to waste energy on people who treat communication like background noise. To him, listening is a sign of intelligence. It's how you show respect. It's how you actually connect. In a world obsessed with being loud, the Sigma male becomes a rare kind of quiet. His silence isn't weakness, it's protest. He'd rather sit alone in peace than be trapped in a room full of mouths moving with no meaning behind them. When he finally walks away from that kind of noise, it's not because he's distant. It's because he values words too much to waste them on people who never truly hear. Number 4. Friend groups that thrive on gossip. A Sigma male can sense gossip in the air before a single word is spoken. It's the tone, the fake excitement, the way people lean in as if they're about to share treasure when in reality, they're just passing around someone else's pain. To him, gossip is one of the lowest forms of connection, because it's built on weakness, not truth. The moment he realizes the group around him feeds on rumors instead of real ideas, something inside him instantly switches off. He doesn't judge people for talking, but he can't stand the energy that comes with gossip. It feels contaminated, like breathing in secondhand smoke. The laughter sounds forced, the smiles look artificial, and the whole atmosphere feels heavy. It's not conversation, it's corrosion. He sees how quickly people who gossip about others will eventually gossip about each other, and that kind of loyalty means nothing to him. A Sigma male finds no joy in knowing other people's secrets. He's too focused on his own growth to care who said what, or who did what. To him, gossip is a clear sign of boredom and insecurity. When people start picking apart someone else's life, it only shows how empty their own has become. He'd rather sit in silence than join a conversation that lowers the vibration of the room. That's why he slowly drifts away from gossip-driven groups without explanation. He doesn't need confrontation, he just withdraws. He knows the difference between connection that builds and talk that destroys. When a Sigma male walks away from gossip, it's not because he's cold or self-righteous. It's because he values peace over poison. He protects his mental space like a sacred room, and gossip has no place in it. He understands that if people talk badly about others in front of him, they'll talk badly about him the moment he leaves. So he chooses the higher ground, and in doing so, keeps his power intact. Number 5. Places filled with fragile egos. A Sigma male can spot a fragile ego faster than most people can finish a sentence. It's not because he's judging, it's because he's trained himself to read energy, not words. He knows when someone's confidence is real and when it's just insecurity dressed in loudness. And when he finds himself in a place full of delicate egos fighting for attention, he instantly feels that familiar pull to leave. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Fragile egos are dangerous. They turn simple conversations into competitions and honest opinions into personal attacks. A Sigma male sees how easily these environments spiral into chaos. One wrong word, one misunderstood comment, and suddenly everyone is trying to prove who's more important. To him, that's not connection. It's emotional warfare. He's not built for that. He values peace over power struggles, truth over tension. When people start getting defensive over nothing, he quietly steps back. He knows that fragile egos don't want understanding. They want validation. They feed on attention because they can't survive without it. And he refuses to be another audience member in someone's insecurity show. A Sigma male doesn't need to win arguments to feel strong. His calmness already proves his control. While others throw verbal punches to protect their image, he saves his energy and walks away with his dignity untouched. He's not avoiding conflict because he's weak. He's avoiding drama because he's evolved. He understands that arrogance is often just fear in disguise, the fear of being unseen, unheard, or irrelevant. Once he senses that energy, he knows nothing good will come out of staying. So he does what most people can't. He leaves before the storm hits. For him, peace is priceless. And any place where fragile egos roam freely will always cost too much. That's why he chooses distance over noise, clarity over chaos, and silence over senseless battles. Number 6. Relationships that require constant proving. A Sigma male doesn't run from love, but he does walk away from love that turns into a test. The moment affection starts feeling like an exam he never signed up for, something inside him quietly shuts down. He doesn't believe that real connection should come with a grading system. For him, love should flow naturally, not feel like a performance that needs to be justified every day. He has no interest in convincing someone of his worth. He knows who he is, and he won't waste time proving it to someone who can't see it. When a relationship starts demanding constant reassurance, where every action needs to be explained, and every silence gets misread as distance, he knows it's not love anymore. It's emotional control, dressed up as care. A Sigma male values peace more than praise. He doesn't crave constant validation, and he doesn't want to keep explaining why he does what he does. His love language is quiet loyalty, not endless talking. He shows care through presence, consistency, and protection, not through rehearsed words or dramatic gestures. And when his natural calmness gets mistaken for detachment, he doesn't argue. He observes. Because he knows that people who can't feel secure without constant proof will never stop demanding it. In his mind, love should be a sanctuary, not a courtroom. The right person won't need him to defend his emotions or justify his silences. They'll understand his rhythm. They'll know that his quietness isn't disinterest, it's comfort. That his space isn't rejection, it's balance. So when a Sigma male disappears from a relationship that feels like an interrogation, it's not because he doesn't care. It's because he does, but he refuses to drown in constant proving. He believes love should bring calm, not anxiety. And if someone can't trust his presence without testing it, he'll give them the only answer he knows best, his absence. Number 7. Environments where envy hides as ambition. A Sigma male can walk into a room and instantly sense when the energy isn't right. There's a subtle tension, a fake kind of friendliness that hides something darker underneath. People smile, but their eyes calculate. Compliments sound supportive, but they carry an edge. That's when he knows he's surrounded by envy pretending to be ambition. To most, it looks like healthy competition, people pushing each other to do better. But to a Sigma male, it feels off. He can tell when ambition is pure and when it's poisoned by insecurity. True ambition inspires. Fake ambition competes to be seen. And when he realizes that others aren't chasing dreams but chasing approval, he quietly steps back. He has no interest in fighting silent wars for attention. He's not in the game to impress anyone. His goals come from within, not from comparison. Watching others measure their success by how many people they outperform feels exhausting to him. That kind of environment feeds on jealousy, not vision. and jealousy is an energy that eats everything it touches. A Sigma male believes in self-mastery, not rivalry. He respects people who work on themselves, not those who pretend to support others while secretly hoping they fail. He sees through the smiles that tighten when someone else succeeds, through the applause that hides bitterness. That's why he prefers to work alone. His space stays clean when ambition stays pure. He doesn't mind competition if it's rooted in growth, but he won't participate in power games disguised as motivation. He knows that people who are driven by envy will never find peace because their success depends on someone else losing. So when he senses that kind of energy, he doesn't argue, doesn't expose anyone. He simply distances himself. He's not escaping people, he's escaping poison. For him, ambition should build bridges, not battles, and any place that forgets that will never hold his presence for long. Number 8. Friendships that collapse when he disappears for a while. A Sigma male values connection, but he also values space, and for him, the two are not enemies. He believes that real friendship doesn't collapse just because he goes quiet for a while. Life pulls him in different directions, and sometimes he needs time alone to recharge, reflect, or simply breathe without noise. The people who truly understand him know this silence isn't a sign of fading care. It's part of who he is. But not everyone gets that. Some take his distance personally, as if his quiet moments are acts of betrayal. They start to question his loyalty, or worse, they try to guilt-trip him back into constant contact. What they don't realize is that nothing pushes a Sigma male away faster than being misunderstood for simply needing peace. He's not running from people, he's returning to balance. He values friendships that don't demand constant proof. The kind where you can go weeks without talking and still pick up exactly where you left off. To him, that's real connection, where understanding runs deeper than communication, and presence is felt even in absence. A Sigma male doesn't crave attention, and he doesn't measure relationships by how often you talk, but by how real it feels when you do. He knows that if a bond breaks because he took time to breathe, it was never solid to begin with. In his world, silence is not neglect. It's respect for both souls to grow on their own. He wants friends who understand that closeness doesn't require constant noise, and loyalty doesn't fade just because he's out of sight. So when he distances himself, it's not rejection, it's renewal. He comes back clearer, calmer, and even more genuine. And if the friendship survives that silence, it means it was never built on convenience. It was built on trust. In conclusion, not all who leave are lost. Some are simply too aware to stay where they do not belong. If you found yourself quietly drifting away from crowds, parties, or certain friendships without a clear reason, take heart. This is the Sigma male in you speaking. You are wired to protect your peace, your energy, and your authenticity. You instinctively avoid spaces that demand performance, worship ego over substance, or reward noise instead of depth. This is not a flaw. It is a rare kind of intelligence, the kind that sees beyond appearances, senses hidden motives, and chooses quality over quantity. Being a Sigma male means you honor your inner compass. You know when environments are toxic, when validation is traded like currency, and when relationships demand too much proving. You walk away not because you are antisocial, but because your soul refuses to be small or compromised. You don't follow the crowd. You move quietly, deliberately, and always on your own terms. That is strength, even if the world calls it detachment. Remember that your avoidance is a form of protection, not rejection. The right people, opportunities, and spaces will resonate with your energy naturally. You don't need to force belonging, explain your absence, or justify your instincts. Your mind and intuition are finely tuned instruments. Trust them. The world may never understand why you step back, but that is the power of being a Sigma male. You live by your rules, not theirs. So embrace your choices, honor your instincts, and hold fast to your independence. The spaces you leave are not losses, they are confirmations. Each step away from shallow energy is a step toward authenticity, clarity, and a life that aligns with who you truly are. You are not alone, you are rare, and the quiet strength that guides your path is the very thing that makes you unstoppable. Thank you, watching brothers.